Hello, Radiant Leo. Have you ever felt like an invisible force is quietly preparing you for something bigger? Something so destined, so precisely timed, that it could only be orchestrated by the universe itself? Well, today, not tomorrow, not someday, but today, might just be that moment. Welcome to Eternal Mindfulness, where every word you're about to hear is not random, it's a reflection, a confirmation, and an invitation. You didn't land here by accident. You were summoned. This is a deep, cosmic reading crafted specifically for your Leo soul, and I invite you to stay with me, because what unfolds next might just shift your path forever. Right now, there's a subtle but undeniable alignment happening. Not out there in the stars alone, but within you. Have you noticed? Maybe you've been feeling unusually restless. Or maybe it's been the opposite, a stillness that almost feels like silence before thunder. That's not your imagination. That's your higher self preparing you to reclaim the light you once dimmed just to fit into someone else's world. The truth is, Leo, you were never meant to shrink. Today, May 30th, carries a vibration unlike any other. It's as if the universe has opened a window just wide enough for a breakthrough to reach you. But only if you're awake. Only if you're ready to let your soul speak louder than your fears. Let me ask you something. What would happen if you stopped waiting for permission to shine? Because here's the thing, you don't need it. The stars are moving, yes. The cosmic alignments are powerful, yes. But none of that matters if you don't say yes to yourself. This reading is not about sitting back and watching things happen. It's about choosing to be in alignment with what is trying to happen through you. And before we move deeper, let me pause and say this from the heart. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for every like, every comment you leave, every new subscription to Eternal Mindfulness. You're not just watching, you're co-creating this journey with me. Your presence, your energy, is what fuels this space. And I see you. Leo, my fierce and beautiful soul, believe me when I say, you will want to stay with me until the very last second of this video. Because what the universe is about to reveal is nothing short of miraculous. And it's coming through you. So tell me, what feeling brought you here today? What dream, what ache, what whisper inside your chest made you click on this video? Drop it in the comments right now, because when you name what's calling you, you start stepping toward it. And now, let's go even deeper, because this destined day is only just beginning. When the sun, your ruling force, Leo, aligns harmoniously with other celestial bodies like the moon, Venus, or Jupiter, a sacred doorway opens. Not in a distant galaxy, but within you. On May 30th, this alignment reaches a unique crescendo. It's a cosmic invitation for your heart, long weighed down by effort or expectation, to rise again, not through force, but through remembrance. You are being reminded not of who you should become, but of who you already are when you stop doubting your light. The sun, in astrology, represents identity, vitality, and conscious purpose. When it harmonizes with the moon or expansive planets like Jupiter, it's as if the universe is handing you a mirror, not just to see your reflection, but to remember your essence. This day is not simply a good day. It is what many call a soul window, a time when inner and outer worlds temporarily synchronize. And for Leo, whose very being is ruled by the sun, this moment is even more potent. You may feel more alive, more exposed, more seen, and perhaps more vulnerable, because the light is no longer filtered. It is direct, bold, blindingly honest. But here's the secret most people miss. When cosmic energy intensifies, it doesn't demand action. It invites clarity. Like the sun shining through a fogged window, your vision clears not because you're trying harder, but because something within you allows the light to come in. And sometimes, the boldest thing a Leo can do, in a world that expects you to constantly perform, lead, shine, is to pause and let yourself simply receive. In moments like this, the stars don't dictate your destiny, they reflect it. You are not being controlled by forces beyond you. Instead, the sky is echoing what your inner truth has been whispering for weeks, maybe months. It's time to return to your throne, not to rule over others, but to reign with authenticity over your own inner world. Real power doesn't need applause. Real light doesn't compete. And true royalty doesn't arrive with spectacle, it arrives with presence. In ancient wisdom, it is said that the heart is both the seat of courage and the dwelling place of wisdom. That courage, however, is not always loud. Sometimes, it's the quiet willingness to let go of what you've outgrown, the masks, the roles, the armor, and to stand unguarded in the fullness of your light. On May 30th, the sun asks you to do just that, to remove the layers that have dimmed your fire, to stop apologizing for your brilliance, and to let your spirit breathe freely again. And while this moment may feel monumental, it doesn't need to be dramatic. Sometimes, the most transformative shifts occur in stillness. A single decision to honor your truth. A breath taken with intention. A look in the mirror where you finally see yourself as enough, not because of achievement, but because of alignment. That is the essence of Leo in harmony with the cosmos, not roaring to be heard, but radiating so others can remember their own light too. This alignment isn't exclusive. But for Leo, it's personal. Like the morning sun breaking through clouds that have overstayed their welcome, this is your cue, not to prove yourself, but to be yourself, without reservation. The spotlight is not something you must chase. It's already shining within you. And on this day, the universe simply amplifies what has always been true. You are not waiting for your moment, you are the moment. There is a moment, and it may be this one, when all the effort you've given, all the quiet resilience, all the times you held back your brilliance for the sake of others, begins to circle back. Not as payback, but as balance. In astrology, money and honor don't arrive merely through chance. They follow the paths carved by worthiness and readiness. And Leo, you are being reminded now that you are more than ready. The cosmos is not just inviting abundance into your life. It is pointing directly at the seat you gave away and gently saying, "Take it back." The Emperor, one of the most powerful figures in the tarot, symbolizes structured power, leadership, and the kind of authority that comes not from domination but from grounded clarity. When this card appears in alignment with Leo energy, especially on a day where celestial dynamics supports self-assertion, it signals a time when your presence commands recognition without you needing to demand it. This is quiet power. The kind of influence that doesn't need to be proven to be real. Think of it not as something you must fight for, but something you must allow. Then there is the sun, your ruling archetype. It radiates joy, clarity, and most importantly, visibility. And visibility isn't just about others seeing you. It's about you no longer hiding yourself. When the sun comes forward, especially in a Leo-focused reading, it carries a message that what once seemed out of reach, the opportunity, the recognition, the financial stability, is now circling back with amplified light. Why? Because you've done the internal work. You've endured in silence. You've continued to shine in rooms where your light wasn't acknowledged. And now, the scales are being recalibrated. Financially, this may show up in surprising ways. Perhaps someone who once dismissed you is returning with a proposal. Or you finally receive a long-awaited payment, contract, or chance to work on something that aligns deeply with your purpose. It may be subtle, like a client returning out of the blue, or dramatic, like a career offer that forces you to rethink your entire path. Either way, what matters is your openness to receive. In teachings of inner development, it's said that abundance flows not to the most deserving, but to the most aligned, and alignment begins when you stop questioning your value. The color gold, especially a deep, warm bronze gold, holds symbolic weight here. It's not the flashy gold of ego, but the steady gleam of maturity and earned excellence. It represents what cannot be faked: integrity, purpose, devotion. Wearing or visualizing this color may help ground you in the energy of deservedness, especially when doubts arise. And when they do, remember the number 888, a sacred numeric sequence that reflects infinite prosperity and the sacred cycle of giving and receiving. This is not just about wealth, it's about wholeness. Material blessings are one part of a larger design meant to support your growth, your service, and your freedom. So ask yourself gently, where have you given your power away in the past? Perhaps to be light, to keep the peace, to avoid being too much? And can you write it down now, not to dwell, but to release? Because that release is an act of self-respect. It clears space for what's already on its way to you. In the same way that water naturally flows downhill, abundance naturally finds those who stop building walls around their worth. You don't need to fight for attention anymore. You don't need to prove you've earned it. The light is turning back toward you not because someone else gave you permission, but because your energy finally stopped dimming itself. That is when things begin to change. That is when the universe says, now. When it comes to love, Leo, your heart doesn't settle for lukewarm. You love boldly, with the full fire of your being, and you offer a kind of loyalty that's rare in this world. But sometimes, the very intensity of that love makes it harder to recognize when someone is no longer aligned with your growth. You stay. You try. You give more of yourself, thinking that effort will turn into harmony. But love, true love, the kind that nourishes rather than depletes, never asks you to dim your light to stay in the room. Right now, the universe is creating space for clarity. Relationships are shifting. The dynamics that once seemed comforting may begin to feel heavy. This isn't a punishment or a failure. It's a realignment. It's the natural shedding that happens when your soul is stepping into a brighter version of itself. Like a flame growing stronger, anything that blocks oxygen, that blocks life, will naturally fall away. The Strength card in Tarot, which resonates deeply with Leo, reminds us that real power comes not from dominating or clinging, but from trusting our inner calm. It's the kind of strength that knows when to hold space, and when to let go. That strength doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It simply knows. And perhaps this is your moment to embody that kind of knowing. Sometimes, the people we believe to be our soulmates are actually mirrors. They show us who we were when we met them, but they cannot walk with us to who we're becoming. It can be painful to realize this, especially when you've invested years of love, forgiveness, and hope. But just because someone was once meant for you, doesn't mean they are meant to stay forever. Their chapter may be complete, and letting them go doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're trusting the deeper rhythm that's trying to unfold within your life. In ancient wisdom teachings, there is the idea of non-attachment, not as emotional indifference, but as the art of holding without gripping. To love someone deeply, while still letting them choose their path. To walk beside someone, but not carry their lessons. That kind of love requires immense courage, and Leo, you were born with that courage in your bones. You may be feeling a quiet inner whisper now, the subtle but clear knowing that a particular connection is draining you more than it's lifting you. That's not drama, that's wisdom. Honor it. You are not being asked to burn bridges, but to build boundaries. You're not being asked to stop loving, only to stop sacrificing your own joy in the name of love. Because anyone who truly loves you will never ask you to go dim just so they can feel safe. So ask yourself this, gently but honestly, where in your relationships have you been shrinking to make room for someone else? Who in your life supports your fire, and who slowly snuffs it out? These aren't questions of blame, they are invitations to truth. And the most beautiful part? When you release what no longer aligns, you create space for love that does. If someone's name came to mind as you heard these words, trust that. You don't need to explain it. Just acknowledge it. Type their initials in the comments if you feel called. It's a simple act of awareness, and sometimes that's all the universe needs to start moving the pieces for your highest good. Let love come, Leo. Let it come in forms that make you feel more alive, not less. Let it be the kind of love that lets you shine, not only because you're capable of loving deeply, but because someone finally sees the light in you and reflects it right back. There are times when the body speaks more clearly than the mind ever could, and this may be one of them. You may have noticed your heart racing unexpectedly, a heat rising in your chest, or a restless energy that seems to have no outlet. These aren't just passing symptoms. They're messages. Signals from your inner flame that something within you is awakening, realigning, or asking to be expressed after being silenced for too long. For Leo, whose energy is intimately tied to the heart chakra, these sensations are not random. They are signs that your life force is reactivating from the inside out. The heart is more than a physical organ, it's a center of emotional intelligence, courage, and clarity. It sits at the center of the chakra system, bridging the lower instincts with the higher awareness. When your heart chakra is in motion, especially during times of cosmic amplification like now, you may feel raw, exposed, even overwhelmed. But beneath that intensity is the truth. Your body is trying to recalibrate to the version of you that's no longer willing to suppress what it truly feels. You might notice yourself waking up earlier than usual, craving warmth, movement, or stillness all at once. This is not dysfunction. This is fire looking for its direction. In wisdom-based traditions, this moment is likened to the movement of a candle just before it burns steadier, flickering, dancing, testing the limits of the air around it before finding its center. That is where you are now. And it's why gentle, nourishing practices are not optional right now, they are essential. Start small, but start consciously. Try beginning each morning with warm lemon water, not just for the body, but as a symbolic act of cleansing yesterday's heaviness and welcoming clarity. Next, give yourself 5 honest compliments. Not surface-level affirmations, but real words that feel like they come from a friend who sees you. I am resilient. I forgive myself for rushing. I honor how far I've come. These kinds of self-offerings don't just heal the emotional body, they shift your frequency. You don't have to believe them at first. You just have to be willing. And then, let the sun meet you. Leo's power is amplified under light. Even just 15 minutes a day of early sunlight can support your hormonal balance, nervous system, and emotional regulation. But more than that, it reminds your inner fire that it's safe to burn again. You are not meant to smolder in silence. You are meant to radiate, and your body knows how to help you return to that state. The color rose gold or soft pink shimmer is also deeply restorative at this time. It holds a vibration of compassion, tenderness, and gratitude. Surrounding yourself with it, through clothing, crystals, or simple visualization, can reconnect you to the gentleness you may have forgotten you deserve. Healing, after all, is not just about solving pain. It's about remembering softness. Most importantly, remember this: your body is not broken. It doesn't need to be fixed. It only wants to be heard. The aches in your chest, the tightness in your breath, these are not flaws. They are echoes of unspoken truths, and when listened to, they begin to release. So ask yourself quietly, what pain have I been carrying in my heart the longest? And when you're ready, even if it's just a whisper, say or write, I'm ready to heal. You don't need to know how. The willingness itself opens the path. And sometimes, that's where the real restoration begins, not through effort, but through listening. Through permission. Through love. There comes a moment, subtle, unmistakable, when something shifts inside of you. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. But it's undeniable. A quiet knowing rises from the center of your chest, and with it comes a simple but life-changing realization: you were never meant to blend in. And if you've made yourself small for the sake of peace, belonging, or survival, this is the part of the story where you come back to yourself. For Leo, the call of purpose is not about status or ego. It's about embodying truth with presence, about inspiring others not by pushing, but by simply being fully you. May 30th carries the vibrational imprint of the number 11, a master number in numerology associated with inner awakening, intuition, and soul-level purpose. 11 isn't about doing more, it's about becoming more aware. It reflects that thin veil between ordinary and extraordinary, reminding us that even the smallest shift in attention can lead to transformation. In many wisdom traditions, 11 is considered a pathway number, a bridge between the seen and unseen. And on this day, that bridge becomes more accessible, especially for those who are ready to listen inward. The Judgment card in Tarot speaks directly to this. Often misunderstood as a moment of outer judgment, its deeper meaning is inner clarity, a call to rise. It doesn't demand perfection. It asks for alignment. It shows up when you've gone through enough cycles of denial, distraction, or delay, and it simply says, now. There is no punishment in this card, only a kind of spiritual exhale. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to stop pretending you don't already know what's next. If you've been feeling a tug, an inexplicable desire to change, to move, to create, to lead, that's not restlessness. That's your calling, reminding you of the contract your soul made before you got caught up in the noise. And the beautiful thing is, reconnecting with that purpose doesn't require grand gestures. Sometimes, it starts with a letter. Try writing one to your future self, 5 years from now. Don't edit it. Don't overthink it. Just let the words flow. What do you hope they've learned? How do you want them to feel when they wake up each morning? Reading it out loud afterward turns it into a vow, a quiet promise to keep walking your path, even when it's unclear. Another powerful way to connect with this energy is to sit in stillness. 11 minutes is enough. Close your eyes, focus on your breath, and repeat a simple phrase like, I choose the light. Not the light others expect of you, but the light that rises when you stop pretending, stop apologizing, and stop waiting. The more consistently you return to that quiet space, the louder your purpose becomes. And here's what most people forget: your purpose doesn't always look like a career or a title. It may not have a business card. Your mission might be to embody a frequency, to bring joy into rooms where joy is rare, to hold calm when others panic, to speak truth even when your voice shakes. You weren't made to follow templates. You were made to remind others that they, too, can live awake. That's what happens when Leo leads with love instead of force. You become a mirror, and others begin to see who they could be, simply because you dared to be whole. So if something inside of you is stirring today, honor it. If you feel like you're being pulled towards something you can't yet name, trust it. This isn't the start of a new chapter. It's the moment when you finally step into the one that's been waiting for you all along. If you're still here with me now, it means something deeper inside you has already awakened. Not because I said something magical, but because the light within you finally recognized its own reflection. And that light, Leo, doesn't need permission to shine. It never did. If this message stirred something in your chest, if your breath caught for even a second, then today, May 30th, is not just a date on the calendar. It's a threshold. A soul-marked moment where you choose, do I keep shrinking to fit what was, or do I step onto the stage I was born to stand on? You already know the answer. You've always known. The energy that's been building around you isn't random. You didn't stumble into this video by chance, and you're not watching just to pass time. You were guided here to remember that what you've gone through hasn't broken you, it's been shaping you. That all the ways you've dimmed your light to make others comfortable were never your truth, they were lessons. And now, the universe is placing the spotlight back where it belongs, on you. Not because you need attention, but because your light helps others remember their own. So I invite you, right here and now, to do something bold, something small, but meaningful. Write down 3 things you know in your heart it's time to start. Maybe it's a conversation you've avoided. A project you keep shelving. A truth you've been afraid to say out loud. Don't worry about how. Just write it. The moment you name it, the energy begins to shift. And if someone comes to mind, someone who once believed in you but may have forgotten their own light. Share this video with them. You never know how one message, at the right time, can reopen someone's heart. Just like it's reopening yours. Now, let me ask you, and I want you to really sit with this. What part of your life are you ready to shine in? Is it your career? Your relationships? Your health? Your voice? What's been holding you back? And if you don't make a move now, what might never happen? Let's talk in the comments. You can share as much or as little as you want, even one word can be powerful. Or just say, I'm ready to shine, and let the universe meet you there. Before we go, I want to say this from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for your presence, your time, your energy. Every like, every comment, every share, and every subscription helps keep this sacred space of eternal mindfulness alive and growing. It allows these messages to reach those who need them most, and reminds all of us that we're not alone in our inner journeys. If this video awakens something in you, even just a flicker, don't let it fade. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Turn on the bell. Not because I said so, but because your soul deserves consistent reminders of its truth. This isn't just another horoscope. This is a call to remember who you are. And Leo, you are not just welcome here. You are honored here. You don't need anyone's permission to shine. You only need to decide that now is the moment you stop waiting.